What does the American government really know about UFOs? And how far will they go to hide the truth? In 1948, a fireball crashes to Earth near Laredo, Texas, just south of the Mexican border. The American military launches a top-secret mission into Mexico to recover it. They say it was an experimental aircraft, but many experts believe it was a UFO. What fell to Earth in the desert, and what is being kept from the public? Join us as we reveal the shocking secrets of the Laredo crash on Unsealed Alien Files.
A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secrets on planet Earth.
The U.S.-Mexico border stretches for nearly 2,000 miles, much of it across an empty desert landscape. It is the busiest frontier in the world, crossed over 300 million times annually. It's also notorious for UFO sightings. And on the American side, one town in particular, Laredo, Texas. In 2013, the Laredo Paranormal Research Society revealed a recent spike in UFO sightings. Oil workers spot a series of strange orange discs in the sky. A local rancher reports the same thing. Residents have captured photos with motion sensor cameras set off by lights hovering over their farms. Brightly lit objects, described as fleets of UFOs, have been witnessed in broad daylight. But what is behind these sightings? What brings UFOs to the border region? The answer may lie in a decades-old incident that allegedly sparked one of the biggest government cover-ups in U.S. history. Unsealed Case File. The Laredo Crash. Laredo, Texas, July 7th, 1948. A ball of fire bursts through the Earth's atmosphere at over 2,000 miles per hour. It streaks across the Texas sky as two American military jets struggle to pursue what appears to be a meteor. American radar detects an unidentified flying object moving at a high speed toward the small town. But the UFO bypasses Laredo, crashing to Earth just south of the border. One of America's top military strategists is called in to investigate. U.S. Secretary of State George Marshall immediately contacts the Mexican government on his own authority and obtains permission for a small force to cross the border and recover what he refers to as a special test vehicle that crash-landed. It is unprecedented for a government to allow another country's military force to cross their border on a retrieval mission. Still, the Mexican authorities agree. Arriving at the crash site, the recovery team allegedly discovers an aircraft unlike anything seen before. A silver disc, over 90 feet in diameter, made of what appears to be an unbendable metal foil. What is it, and where did it come from? Just 600 miles north is the White Sands Proving Ground, a top-secret aviation research facility. 3 months before the Laredo crash, a group of scientists claim to have witnessed a huge disc-shaped UFO making aggressive turns and moves above the base. The craft disappeared, and no real explanation was given for the sighting. Could the crashed Laredo object be an experimental aircraft from the White Sands Proving Ground? Or is it of alien origin? George Marshall is no stranger to UFO incidents. He personally oversaw the handling of the biggest UFO event in American history.
Battle of Los Angeles. It was February 1942 at night. Suddenly, air raid sirens rang out over the Southern California coast. Searchlights went on. They saw a strange object captured in the searchlights with flak exploding all around it. What was it? What was this object that they were firing on? Was it a Japanese bomber? If it was a Japanese bomber, our anti-aircraft batteries couldn't hit it.
The UFO is reportedly seen by thousands of witnesses. George Marshall issues a denial of any UFO activity, but privately, Marshall sends a memo to Franklin D. Roosevelt that contains a shocking revelation. Regarding the air raid over Los Angeles, this headquarters has come to the determination that the craft bombarded by the military are in fact not earthly, and according to secret intelligence sources, they are in all probability of interplanetary origin.
The government explanation that it was simply a balloon or weather balloon that blew off course simply makes no sense. After 60 years, we still have no explanation.
Marshall knows the cross-border crash will be far more difficult to cover up than the wartime incident. 1948. A strange craft falls to Earth just south of the Mexican border from Laredo, Texas. Secretary of State George Marshall receives permission from Mexican authorities to retrieve it. The recovery team begins to disassemble the object. Its metal seems almost unbreakable, even to the heat of acetylene torches. The men are forced to use carbide and diamond drills and saws to breach the hull. What they find inside is shocking. The badly burned body of the UFO's pilot. Witnesses describe the body as alien in appearance. It's 4.5 feet tall, with hands showing only 4 claw-like fingers. The shape and size of the head are humanoid, but definitely not human. Marshall acts quickly to prevent news of the discovery from spreading.
For the select few that were actually connected to the wreckage, and for those who saw it, they were quickly silenced. They were told to tell a completely different story, and then the rest was completely covered up.
This is actually the 3rd time Marshall has reportedly acted to conceal the presence of extraterrestrials. 1 year earlier, he coordinated the retrieval of one of the most controversial spacecraft ever to fall to Earth. Unsealed case file. The Roswell Incident. Roswell, New Mexico, July 7th, 1947. A strange craft crashes near the small town in the American Southwest. Military from the Roswell base rush to the scene, but civilian witnesses have already arrived. The wreckage is recovered, and what appear to be alien bodies are removed from the crash site. George Marshall takes command of the situation. Even though the story has leaked that a UFO has crashed, a cover story is put forth. Once again, his official statement is that it's nothing more than a weather balloon. But that isn't the only similarity. The size and shape of the burned being recovered from the Laredo crash is generally that of a monkey. After World War II, the burgeoning American space program was known to use rhesus monkeys as laboratory animals in experimental aircraft, often with fatal results. Just 6 days before the Laredo UFO crash, the White Sands Proving Ground launched a monkey in a V-2 rocket, the first primate in space. But this monkey was not the one found at Laredo. It had come down to Earth the same day. After 6 minutes and 39 miles, it had suffocated during the flight. NASA vigorously denies any connection between UFO reports and lab monkey experiments in space. But the photographer alleges that he had been present during the field autopsy of the charred being in 1948, and that autopsy confirms the body is not of this world. A year earlier, in 1947, at least 4 extraterrestrial biological entities were retrieved from the Roswell crash site, fitting the same physiological profile as the Laredo alien. They will become known as the Greys, an alien race that will be linked to more reports of terrifying abductions than any other. The situation is escalating. 2 incidents involving the same species have occurred in less than a year. Is America facing an invasion by the Greys? And if so, what does the government intend to do about it? Marshall reportedly sets up a task force to investigate the rash of alien activity. This group will come to be known as Majestic 12, one of the most top-secret groups in government history. The Majestic 12 are said to control all top-secret UFO crashes and their recovery. At the time, their movements and research are ultra-top secret, even beyond the control of the president. By the mid-1950s, experts claim they have been rear-engineering alien technology retrieved from such famous UFO crashes as Roswell and Laredo. But many ufologists believe Majestic 12's most chilling secret is that they have been communicating with aliens. 10 years later, Marshall has stepped down as Secretary of Defense. Dwight D. Eisenhower is now president, and Majestic 12 has made contact with the alien Greys. A meeting is reportedly arranged between the Greys and President Eisenhower to discuss peace between worlds.
Now, there was a meeting, supposedly, that took place in 1957 at Holloman Air Force Base. And this was with the Greys. At that meeting, supposedly there was some sort of treaty that was signed whereby they could take some humans for abduction, experimentation, but they had to be returned safely. In exchange, the Greys would give us some technology.
What did Eisenhower allegedly ask of the alien Greys he met? And what did they ask for in return? 1948, a UFO crashes near Laredo, Texas, exactly 1 year after a similar incident at Roswell, New Mexico. According to witnesses, both incidents involved the same aggressive alien species, the Greys. The events reportedly bring President Dwight D. Eisenhower face-to-face with the Greys' representatives for a summit at Holloman Air Force Base.
Purported witnesses to this event claimed that Eisenhower was actually asked there by the extraterrestrials in order to make some sort of deal. The meeting took place at the Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico, where a treaty would be reached. One of the classic images is that of the Greys, with large heads and elongated almond-shaped eyes and slits for mouth and very thin. The story sounds bizarre at best, but there are 3 witnesses to this event.
The resulting agreement may determine the fate of the human race. It is known as the Greada Treaty. Unsealed case file. The Greada Treaty. Experts believe this treaty gives the United States access to the Greys' advanced technology in return for the right to abduct and experiment on humans, with the condition they are returned unharmed. It seems almost inconceivable that an American president would offer up his own people to an alien race. But possible proof of the Greys' existence will surface again in 1978. It comes in the form of a mysterious photograph that arrives at the office of a UFO investigator working for the Mutual Anomaly Research Center and Evaluation Network. In a letter, the photographer claims the photo is of the body of an extraterrestrial recovered at the Laredo crash site. The photographer provides details of the 1948 crash. He explains the recovery of the craft, the involvement of Secretary of State Marshall, and how he was forced to develop the photos the same night under armed guard at the White Sands Proving Ground. He also claims to have somehow smuggled out over 40 more negatives documenting the autopsy and retrieval of the craft at Laredo. Marsan sends the negatives for analysis by professional film experts. The image of a humanoid figure with a large head and small body is deemed real. This leads to its nickname, the Tomato Man. The photo sent to Marsan comes with a warning. Being in possession of the photo may bring the network unwelcome attention from a top-secret government organization. Could this shadowy organization be the ultra-secret Majestic 12? And is anyone who threatens the alleged government cover-up in danger?
And I assure you, they weren't sending out press releases. It was classified above top secret, as they say. You know, if you were at that level and you decided you wanted to go to the New York Times, there was a good chance your car would never make it out of the driveway, or you either. So this serious stuff.
Marsenne launches its own investigation into the identity of the photographer, hoping to convince him to turn over the other 40 negatives of the crash site and autopsy. The investigation turns up several false names, addresses, and post office boxes. Every possible lead brings the investigation to a dead end. A Marsenne member published this statement about the mystery photographer. We know we are dealing with presumably a career military man, very fearful of some sort of prosecution for his transgressions in this affair, who is doing his best to remain anonymous. To this day, the identity of the Laredo photographer remains unknown. But what has become of Eisenhower's agreement with the Greys? Laredo, Texas, 1948. What appears to be an alien craft crashes to Earth. Photographs suggest the dead pilot was an alien Grey. It's the same aggressive alien species found in the Roswell crash of 1947, and the same species with whom in 1957, President Eisenhower entered into the Greada Treaty, a deal that gave the U.S. government advanced technology in return for allowing experiments on humans. But who's to say they kept their part of the bargain?
They wanted to be able to experiment on human beings in the United States in exchange for technology. Well, it became sort of like this thing that got out of control or out of hand, and they started abducting millions of people.
In 2012, almost 1 million Americans disappeared without a trace, a staggering 2,300 per day. In Mexico, that number reached over 25,000. Most were never seen again. Were the events at Roswell and Laredo recon missions by the alien Greys? Experts believe that our secret military warehouses hold unknown numbers of alien bodies from Roswell, Laredo, and elsewhere. Could these mass abductions be a form of alien vengeance? 100 disappeared humans in exchange for every one of them? And if so, is the human race now at the mercy of an alien master?
This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth.